Hello, this is Charlie. I am starting on a new album, and it is for the benefit of Scrap and Create. They're an online store, and they've supplied me all the necessary materials, with the exception of the cardstock, that it's going to take to make this. And we're going to be playing with Stamperia's Fortune collection. I am going to be playing with the double-sided 12 by 12, and I'm going to be playing with the 12 by 12 single-sided, the maxi pad, as well as two pads of the background selections called Land of the Pharaohs. So what we need to get done first is the album. You're going to need to have two pieces of chipboard. Each piece of chipboard is going to measure 8.5 by 9 inches. And then you're going to want a spine that's going to be 2.5 by the 8.5. I use Tyvek to bind my chipboard pieces. It's very resilient. It has almost a no tear factor to it, but it is nice and smooth, and it's got a great deal of flex to it. So when we put this on the outside of the album, that means that the Tyvek is what's running up against this rough edge of the chipboard, not the cardstock. That allows the cardstock to glide over the Tyvek, which helps to minimize any roughness or tears that you might get in your cardstock. So I cut two pieces of Tyvek. It's roughly 2 inches across. You're going to score it. We want a 1/4 inch gusset. So you're going to score it about 7/8, and then you're going to score it again right around 1 1/8. You're going to run tape on both sides of the gusset. I want that left open, no tape at this point in time. And then you're going to put half of it on each side of the spine. And I started this so you could see this is what it's going to look like when you get it done. And then we're going to add the exterior panels to each side of this. In addition, you're going to need to have two pieces of black cardstock that's going to measure at 11 3/4 across by 10.5 inches high. Now I've got a 3/8 of a seam here, and this is what I'm going to have for the binding in the middle of this. Now when this comes together, the middle of this spine is where I want this seam. I don't want the seam anywhere near the gussets, and I in particular don't like to see seams real close to the gusset. So we're going to place that seam as center as we can, and then this allows for a 1 inch border all the way around. So let's go ahead and let's finish getting everything attached, because you should have your pieces cut out by now and ready to go, because you can always stop the video to get to this point. So it doesn't matter, I'm not going to line it up inch for inch here on the ends. I cut this at 8 inches where this is 8.5. And I just want to make sure what's more important is that I get my chipboard running up next to the gusset. Okay, so let's go ahead. I'm going to peel that off right now while I'm here. Line this up across the bottom, follow the tape all the way up. All right, now let's come in here with the panels. And then I'm going to take off the strip that's the closest to the gusset so that I'm playing only with the inside tapes, and I'll take the rest of it off once I get it all on there. All right, so now we're going to line up the next piece. Come right. Oops, going. Oh, whoa, had almost taped it to the wrong length there. I'm having trouble seeing my score mark. There we go. Ooh! I didn't press down hard enough, but that's why I want to turn it over. Okay. Okay, that's done, that's done, that's done. All right, so we have, I'm going to snip that off just because it's driving me crazy. These Tyvek envelopes have all those folds and creases for a mailing envelope. All right, so now I'm going to take 1/2-inch tape and I'm going to go all the way around the perimeter of this. And then I'm going to take and add tape to the chipboard edges, but I'll use 3/8 inch for that. And I apologize if I'm off camera a little bit here, but this is about 23 inches in total length by the time you get it all done. So I have no choice but to take it off camera here every little bit. So I apologize in advance for that. All right. All right, now on this chipboard, it should be roughly 1 inch on each end. Now on the chipboard, it is really important that this cardstock is adhered to the chipboard. So we're going to turn this over and then we are going to add tape to this reverse side. I'm going to use 3/8 of an inch along the chipboard edge here along the gusset. Sorry if I've got my arm in the way, but it's the only way I can get this on here without taking it out of your view. Now, let's get those scored real well. I'm going to add one right down the center, and you'll see why here in a little bit. Now I've got to take this and start moving it around. All right, we're going to put one here on the end. And then we're going to go to the middle between these two. and then a middle again. And yes, this is a lot of tape, but you just don't want that black, your cardstock, whether it be black or any other color, separating away from the chipboard. Here on the end, it makes for a more sound and sturdy album. And then in the middle again. All right, we're going to do one more round of tape to this, and it will be 3/8 of an inch on the inside borders. This way, when we fold over the cardstock, it has 2 points of contact for the mounting onto the chipboard. And then the last strip. All right. Give this a good burnish. And then I'm going to show you something here real quick. With the Tyvek, or with any method that you're using to bind your chipboard, you're going to have this effect because it's not sturdy. So when you mount this and you start adding it onto the cardstock, you need to make sure that you're giving gentle tugs to keep these gussets separated. So right now, what I'm going to do is try and get a roughly, I think I'm about center. I'm going to try and get roughly the same on each end. So I'm at 1 inch there, and I'm 1 inch there. So I'm in a good spot. Now, am I 1 inch here? That needs to push up just a bit. And this other end is perfect. All right, I'm going to palm this side. I don't want it moving. I'm going to come in here. I'm going to pull this first strip off, and I'm going to lay it down, and then I'm going to give a good burnish. And then I'm going to get in here and pull the other 2 strips off, but it's going to take a little bit of work for me to get in here, so I apologize for the angle on this, but I want to get this down. Now, if you want to be brave enough and take off all 3 strips, go right ahead. I like to take it off in controlled sections so that I know that what I have is on the right way. All right, so now I'm going to turn her over. A good burnish. All right, now we're going to start to take this tape off. And this is where it's important that you give a gentle tug so that this stays open, and then lay this down. And then we're going to remove it on this side as well. And once again, a nice little gentle, firm pull. Burnish that down good so that get the air out and all that good stuff. Okay, now I need to miter my corners. Excuse the head. I'm going to turn it around. I'm a right-handed person, so I want my pieces on my right side. Okay, so now I'm going to start with a short end. I'm going to take this off. I'm going to take this off. And I'm going to burnish this up in here. I need to take just a little bit of this off because when I go to fold this over, it's going to make contact. So I'm just going to take this up here and get it out of the way a little bit because I'm not ready to pull the whole thing off. And then I'm going to smash, I call it smash and turn. All right, now I'm going to take this off. And then I'm going to take this off. And then starting in the middle, pull it up. And just for reference, I'm wrapping with 100-pound cardstock. I like the sturdiness of it. I like the fact that it supports the album. It needs to be smunched in there a little bit better. And I use it throughout. I do at times wrap with 65-pound weight, but I will always work with 100-pound weight on the internal mechanisms of the album. When you start adding lots of paper to a signature, I want it nice and sturdy. And I find that 100-pound weight cardstock does that for me. So you use whatever weight cardstock you want to use that you're most comfortable with. Okay, we're going to get that off. And we're going to get this off. And then we repeat that pattern in the middle first, lift it up. Smash and turn. For me, this is really the most difficult part, is getting this, I don't know why, getting this in there nice and clean. And then take this long strip off of here and finish in middle and left. Okay, I don't have that turned in there far enough for a nice decent corner. Now with a nice, preferably round scoring tool, gently come in here right along this edge of the chipboard. I want you to push that in. Now be careful that you don't tear it, but I want you to push in, but you're going to press up against both sides of the chipboard. What this is allowing for is a nice clean corners on your interior panels. And I'll show you here in just a second. But with the tape that's on here, it's also taping it to that Tyvek. So I'll show you what I've got going here. See, nice, crisp, clean corner. So we're going to do it over here as well, nice and gentle. I have at times had to come in here and with the different I use 100-pound cardstock, but different manufacturers, it has a different resiliency, it seems like. So I have had at times come in here with a little bit of spritz to help loosen the fiber. Okay, so we got those in there, looking good. So there is the album, nice, crisp, clean corners. And now we're going to build the internal page. This is going to be a 3-page album, and it will end up having a total of 8 signatures. So I want to, this is 8.5. I want to cut this roughly at 8 3/8. I do not want to take it all the way to the end. Get my paper off my trimmer here. So I'm going to come in at 8 3/8. I'm going to do a fit to see if I need to trim a little bit more. No, I think I'm okay. And then I'm going to cut this down to 6 inches. All right. This is going to get glued, how about taped? For me, it's taped. You can glue if you want, but in this gusset right here, once we get this down, before we really secure this flap, we're going to bend this again and we're going to push this length of this cardstock back down into that gusset. So I am going to do a perimeter tape. And then I'm going to run tape on the inside of this frame right here. This is where the most tape gets used is when you're actually building the album. You want it to have some strength. Okay, so now I think this should work right here, close enough. It doesn't have to be straight because it's just tape and I'm gonna hide it anyway. Don't do that. hidden, so I don't care. I'm going to take 1/4 inch tape. I'm going to pick this up just a little bit. Then I'm going to run 1/4 inch tape right up the length of that chipboard. And the reason I'm not running it up the black cardstock is because I can't really see yet where the edges are, and I don't want to be coming in down here. That's why I used a wide strip of tape here, because that will be my binding down here on the bottom and the top. Okay, so let's take this off. Come on. All right, I want to be roughly 3 inches, or excuse me, I think I'm going to be about 1 inch, 1.5 inches on each side. I'm just trying to eyeball it as best I can. I know where I need to be on the bottom. Sure. Oh, I tore that when I took the tape off. I'll fix it. And then I'm going to come in here and start taking the... I'm going to hold off for just a shake. I want to take the top and the bottom off. Because, come on. Okay, now what I want to do before I take those and tape them down is I want to bend this, find my gusset, and just very carefully, this is the part where you can end up tearing. So you just want to be very careful. Just follow the edge of the chipboard. We want to know where that edge is here in the next stop. Now we're going to take this off. And the reason I hesitate to take this off is because we're actually pushing some of this width is going down in here. So if we were to have taped this right off the bat, then we're going to get tear in here when we try to score this down in the center. Now we're going to do the same for this side. We're going to give just a gentle fold so that we can see where it is. Follow one edge of the chipboard and then sneak over here and then follow the other edge. And you see how this is, I don't know if you can see it, but you can see where this is puckering up. That's because we are pushing some of that cardstock down into the gusset. And I'm just doing this very gentle, but with repeated motion to break the fiber and tell it that it's okay to go down in there. And then I'm going to sneak in here and take this off. And then when you bring this up, you've still maintained nice, clean, crisp corners. All right? Now we're going to build the 3 pages that will go here. You're going to want to have 3 sheets of cardstock. And in case you're wondering how much cardstock you should have, seriously, you need to have at least 25 sheets. Errors get made, and you don't want to run out of cardstock, and then you can't find the color that you started with. So we're going to cut 3 of them at 8 3/8, because that's where we are at here on this little guy. Okay, there's 1. We have 2. And then we have 3. Now, this seems kind of backwards, but I want you to get your scoreboards out. Because what we're going to do is we are going to score each one of these at 5/8 of an inch on the end. So 5/8. We're going to have a 5/8 gusset all the way on all 3 of them. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and score 1, and then I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. So you're going to come back here. One of the reasons it was really important to find this chipboard edge, I've got some pencil marks, don't want them on here, is you are going to come in here with this edge, and you are going to line it up with the edge of that chipboard, and you're going to secure this down. And we're going to have a 5/8 gusset in between all the pages. But first, we're going to pretend that this is already in the book and mounted so that we can figure out what we want our lengths to be. I do some pretty good build-ups, up to 1/4 of an inch. At times I've done a 3/8 of an inch build-up. So that takes up space here at the end of the book. So we're going to come in here a good 3/8 of an inch, and that's where we're going to stop this, because this is, like I said, this could get built up where we could have another 1/8 gone just in that. But I also want to be working with even measurements. So once I identify that, I want to see where I'm at. And it looks like I'm going to cut this down to 9 3/8 of an inch in overall length. 9 3/8. Almost cut my score off. 9 3/8. Okay, so there's 1. 2 and 3. Now with the 5/8 of an inch gusset, I'm going to use 1/2 inch tape because I want the most coverage. I'm not going to use 5/8 of an inch tape simply because it ends up sticking out over the end, and I don't want to see tape. Okay, so there's 1. Let's get them in the book. I'm going to turn it this way so that I can see this edge and this edge when I put this in here. So I'll do my best to do it so that you can see what it is I'm doing. I'm going to come right up to the edge of the chipboard, and then I'm going to lay it down. Okay, and then I'm going to take this, I'm going to tuck it right up underneath here. It's hard to see black on black. Push it down, and then I'm going to make sure that it's laying as flat as it can. I'm coming off canter just a little bit here. So it started with this one. This is the part that I hate. Is having to reset these. Now that could have been my score. It could have been the way I laid it in here. Come on. Gee, Manise, it's just pouring out of there. It's a new bottle, so I don't have... This is the part of the build that gets embarrassing when you have to do this. But I know I'm not the only one that this happens to. Okay, so... Boy, I've got a tore up mess here. I'm going to try and do it this way. I'm going to lay this down. I'm going to pull up on it before I commit. Okay, that's better. And now I'm going to come back up underneath here with this one. I apologize if you can't see what it is I'm doing, but I need to get these in here straight and even. And then I'm just going to pull down a little bit on this one. And then we're going to lay in this last page. And I'm going to sneak in here. Gently lay that down. I'm even. Lay it down and I'm even. Okay. So now what you have here, when you open this up, you've got a 5/8 gusset, 5/8 of an inch gusset, same here, and you have just over 5/8 of an inch here. And that's just because of the measurements when you're trying to build this. But anyway, there you go. We are together. It is finished. You have your album. I am not going to cover these panels. It's a waste of cardstock. We're going to cover this with our collection paper. So there you go. It's all done. And it's ready for making it look pretty. See you on the next video.